Professor Erasmus said this was highly predictable today. There has to be some level of communication or collusion between the state in DC, the DC police. There's no way they could be that naive as these fascist forces, white supremacist forces, these casts of characters, some dressed as Vikings, others waving the Israeli flag, others waving the Iranian flag from the era of the Shah, and other strange flags that appeared today. There's no way that DC security, the mayor of DC, called for help from the National Guard, but her pleas were ignored. Just yesterday, 10 former secretaries of defense signed a letter saying how important it was to unite against Trump and his base. So this was something that was in motion for weeks and if not months at this point. And so why did the DC police and the National Guard, why were they so slow? And there's actually footage of them opening up the gates to this fascist mob. And of course, the entire movement here is wondering if this had been Black Lives Matter, if this had been immigrant and Latino and African American protesters, how much blood would have been shed today. So American hypocrisy, as the CIA, former CIA director, has correctly pointed out, all of the world is watching, from Moscow to Beijing to Tehran to Caracas to Havana, and American hypocrisy, not democracy, is on full display.
That's a very interesting point you raised there, Danny. Jack, would you agree with that? If those were Black Lives Matter protesters, would we have seen a different scenario today?
Well, there's over 1,000 Capitol Police guarding the U.S. Capitol. Where were they? For hours and hours. And as Danny said, in some cases, they just let these people in. They certainly didn't try to stop them. And there are all kind of videos of, these Capitol Police in the corridors, fraternizing with these people and taking selfies, as they say, with them, and just shaking hands and everything. If this was Black Lives Matter or Antifa, they never would have been allowed in. And there would have been a lot more violence, no doubt here. So there is a question, why did 1,000 Capitol Police just do nothing? And why didn't DC police come around for at least 6 hours? There were hours before they even got any help from anybody. So it was all very, very curious affair. And I heard that Nancy Pelosi had talked with the chief of the Capitol Police, and he assured her that no one would even get on the steps of the Capitol if they came, because we knew this was going to happen. We knew there were going to be demonstrations there, but I think the Capitol Police let it get out of hand, and someone needs to answer for that. And it wouldn't have happened to the extent it did. But, it backfired. As I said, it backfired on them. And now they're in even deeper trouble than they were in the very beginning here. And it's going to be interesting to see what Trump does in the next 72 hours, because he's really under attack now from the rest of the political elite that have closed ranks against him. And he may not make it to January 20th.
Well, the man who could is Joe Biden. Danny, he gave quite a rather somber televised address while Capitol Hill was being stormed. What did you make of that? Was that of the president-elect? Was that presidential material? Was that commander-in-chief material?
My goodness, absolutely not. It was a very meek, weak address. Biden went very soft on this mob. And we saw the absolute restraint with which the state acted. It appears that the police did open fire and did kill the one woman who was trying to scale into another corridor. She was a former veteran of the Air Force. This is certainly an embarrassment for the United States. The whole world is watching. As Jack said, Trump is more isolated than ever. Pence is now disowning Trump, and Trump is on the Twitter attack against Pence. A large group of manufacturers and CEOs, key business interests of this country, have banded together against Trump. Trump is right now banned from Twitter, and his Twitter has been censored now for months. But nonetheless, Trump has these 73 million Americans who voted for him. He has a strong fascist, violent, armed base. So in the next 2 weeks, we could continue to see these types of incidents, and what's perhaps even more worrying is lone wolf incidents, racist, xenophobic attacks against Muslims and immigrants and Latinos, as we've been seeing a spike in hate crimes since Trump first assumed office. White supremacy and the Confederacy were in the closet, and Trump brought that all out into the open as of 4 years ago.
Right, and Jack, we've heard from 4 former U.S. presidents all denouncing the violence and seeing some of them shocking.